Vegas. The underdog became the underrated. In my city, I'm paraded. Confetti dropping when I'm home. I'm floating down Tudor, floating on strong. Had so many rights they couldn't tell us we was wrong. Lamar Middle School, we was on. I got this lion heart in my chest. I'm one of the best. They ask about him, they gon' bring up success. See, I've been fighting this stress. You ain't right, you get left. I'm good with my left, so I don't argue with refs. Cause just like EA, I'm in the game.
What's up? What's up? This your boy K Rich, and we are here with We Give 110. We've got our expert on deck, on hand. This is Sean Olson with Equibala, and he has got an awesome topic that I've actually got to experience and learn from today, and that is time does not exist. And when I heard this for the first time, I was like, dude, it's crazy, man. Like we have watches, we have time clocks, right? We're monitoring our day on how much we can get done in 8 hours. And when I heard this concept, it gave me a different perspective on how I approach my daily task, on how I approach the things that I want to actually get accomplished. So without further ado, Sean, you go ahead and take it over and let us know more about why time doesn't exist.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I definitely appreciate coming on and getting to share a little bit of my personal life experience with some of the people who you guys have connected with and brought in as your audience. So it's fantastic to be here. So today, yes, this is a little bit of a deep topic. So we're going to hit the basics and try and keep it simple. But the whole point of everything that I do is to change your perspective. And this is simply the way that you look at things, all right? And so as we're growing up in the world, we get given a certain perspective based on the people that we interact with. And they tell us their version of how they understand the world, and we get to choose what of those pieces of information we take on and believe in our own world. And that's how we operate, all right? So if you guys missed it last week, the 6 factors of conscious response was broken down, and we tapped into this little bit of a time concept, but today I'm going to break it down all the way so that you guys understand how much power you really control in your world. And this is the point. Not because I want you to understand that time doesn't exist, but why time doesn't exist being important matters when it comes to making choices and the weight that you put on prioritizing the things that you do every day. Okay? So, first of all, time is a man-made concept. It took a really long time to even figure out how to create this concept of time. And the sundial was sort of like the first version of this, where they put the little thing up on concrete and it was pointed, and like depending on where it was pointed at the sun, it casted a shadow, and it like created this concept that had to be trained and retrained over generations to actually establish that time was a thing. Okay, and it was a thing for a reason. And the reason was to connect my moments of awareness with somebody else's so that we were talking about the same moments of awareness. That is what we call time. Okay, now I'm going to break this down really simply for you. Time is in 3 pieces: the past, the present, and the future. They are all existed as different moments of awareness. All right, so when we talk about the past is a collection of memories that you hold from everything that you have experienced in your life. Now, here's the scary part. If you lost your memory today, we call this amnesia, but if you lost your memory today, your past just disappeared. There is not a single person that can come up to you and say, hey, remember what happened last week or last month or last year? And they can tell you in detail all of the stuff that happened because they were there as part of that, as an equal moment of awareness that they were involved in and that they remember as part of their past, but they cannot convince you if you can't remember it. Somebody will never go against your belief structure because you only believe what previous experiences you remember. All right, and so this is what we were talking about last week with the 6 factors of conscious response. Starts with this perception of what you understand about the world and you believe as an expectation because you remember what happened. So the past is simply a series of moments of awareness that have already gone. We no longer control those. You cannot go into the past and do anything about it. All right? And I'm going to skip the present for a minute. I'm going to go to the future. The future is an assumption. This is where you think, because of the way that things have happened in your world, that you understand how the world works. My understanding of how the world works is a little bit different than Carrie's and a little bit different than Rob's, because we all have a different collection of experiences that brought us to this point. So the future is simply moments of awareness you haven't got to yet. Again, those are not points that you have any control over. And I want to come back to this control thing, because that's where we really operate. We get in our own head all the time about focusing on the things that happened, and we get all sad and upset about it or whatever because we remember it, and it derives emotion and all these things based on those previous experiences. And we get fearful or excited or whatever it may be about what we think is going to happen in the future. But it's assumption, and again, it's something that we don't have any control over. So what does that leave us left in the rest of our life? All that's left is our current moment of awareness. This is all that we ever actually exist inside of. This is the... Good.
And I heard this was a great kind of a visual that I saw on a graph, because when I heard this from Sean, I was like, man, what can I tether this to like really make this stick with me? And I was like, I stumbled across this article that was talking about using a remote control, right? And your ability to fast forward and rewind, and always hitting that play button so that you can tether yourself to the current moment in time, because that's all that matters. So just giving that visual to our audience, you know, when you have that memory, like Sean said, I can hit that rewind button and I can go back and I can learn from those shared experiences. But actually living in the moment is hitting that present play button and making sure that you're taking that into account, right? So this one, it helped me get that visual in my mind of what it means to be, what it means to actually accept time doesn't exist. Well, it's hitting that play button, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're in play mode all the time. And in real life, there is no rewind, there is no fast forward. You do not control any other point in what we call time, because you only get the current moment of awareness. All right. And so the things that I really try to help people with mostly is focusing on the things that you can control in the world. All right. So we just went through a presidential change and there was a lot of political stuff all over the place. I can't affect any of that. I'm not out there doing anything that is, going to physically have an impact on that. So I don't focus on it. I can't control it. Right? If the economic meltdown happens and the real estate market busts and, all of the stocks fall apart, I'm not going to get upset about it because I can't control it. Okay? And so I don't schedule any pieces of my life around intentional focus or activity prioritization around the things that I don't have direct involvement in. The way that you respond to things that happen around you is what you can control. How do I respond and what am I going to do about it? I can't actually control whether or not it happens. So what's very exciting is that now that we understand time doesn't exist, and we understand that our current moment of awareness is literally the only piece of our existence that we exist in and that we control, it puts a lot of the stress into the world that doesn't matter. We take away all that worry. Oh my gosh, whatever happened in the past is over. Whatever happened in the future, haven't got to yet. Put myself right here in this moment now. What am I doing with my body? Who am I interacting with as people? What am I going to, focus my time in the current moment of awareness to do? And this is why it is so important to understand that there is no other time involvement, yet we have to have time as a concept in our world so that when we want to schedule things in the future, hey, I would like to do this. Would you like to be a part of it? This is a current moment of awareness that we can agree upon, because when I say I'm going to come on to the We Give 110 podcast, we can't make it random. It has to be a decided and a mutually agreed upon time frame that is in the same moment of awareness for myself and the other people involved, so that our world has efficiency. Okay, so there still is a necessity for the concept of time, but in the way that you control your life, zero relevancy in taking away those moments that you don't control. So when you're here and you bring yourself into the current moment of awareness, this is where you become powerful. This is where you get to prioritize what your actions are. And these actions are simply a response of the choices that you make. So we have to understand what's important to us. What do I want to get done in this moment of awareness? And why is it more relevant to do this now versus another moment of awareness? This is how we prioritize things. And so that's very easy for most people to understand, is what needs to be done in an order. I need to get this thing done, and then this thing done, and then this thing done, in order to make sure that I get all the things done that are of priority for me during the day. But when we come to these times where there is no priority requirement, then we get to this stage where we can say, right now, how do I feel? What do I feel like doing? And so much of our world is spent feeling incorrectly. We always are in existence in search of a feeling. We sometimes do things because we think it will create a feeling in the future. But when we get rid of all the priority structure and we say, okay, I did all the stuff that I have to do, what do I want to do? That want is a generation of feelings that we're searching for, which is usually joy and compassion and the positive side of feelings. All right? Never are we like, I just want to get pissed right now. No, like nobody's trying to be upset about something. We're always looking for those positive emotion sakes. And so if we have that awareness of when that control factor comes in, and we have prioritized the structure of when it is that we do these controlled actions, and we can knock out the stuff that we consider obligation, then we come back to this piece, what we call inspiration. This is enjoying the thing in the moment of doing it, regardless of the outcome. So this control of time awareness and always bringing yourself back as many times as you can throughout the day to operate from an intentional standpoint in the moment. The more often you can get control of that, the more powerful you will be in creating and controlling your entire life structure. All right. So does that make sense for everybody? Hopefully we got a little bit of understanding happening here.
Yeah. So what just kind of looping back some of the things that I'm writing down. And if you're not taking notes, you're not learning and applying, right? You got to learn and then do, right? So when we tell you about there is no concept of time and that living in the present moment is all that there is, it's a filter that you get to put over your life and go, okay, what's priority to me? What's important? How is this making me feel? Because I remember you talking about this, Sean, that we're all moving towards something. We're moving away from probably something that's painful, and we're moving towards a pleasurable experience, right? And so talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we really only have two main motivations in life, right? We're moving away from fear or moving towards love. That's the only two real driving factors that we have. And if we understand the things that we don't control, then we can actually eliminate a lot of the things that scare us. Because inspiration usually comes with a mental guarantee. This is the thing that I know when I go for my walk, or when I go and I plant a flower, or I jump on the trampoline with my kid, I don't really care about the rest of the world. In that moment, I am feeling the utmost fulfillment in myself. I am enjoying the moment. I am feeling love. And we can all call it different emotional whatevers, but love is the pinnacle emotion that we're all searching for. That's the reason.
In prime example, actually, my daughter just texted me. She might be watching, and she's a competitive cheerleader. But it's just like I've always wanted to push her into sports, right? She's got to make that decision. Anyways, she reaches out to me and she's like, Dad, I got to tell you about soccer. So it's obviously she's reaching out to me because she wants to get that joy of approval from her dad, right? Somebody that coaches her and trains her and encourages her. So I totally understand what you're talking about of experiencing those little micro moments. That's kind of why we developed Revive 5, was so that every single day living in the present, we're pouring back into that relationship that's pouring back into us. That moves me towards that pleasurable state of knowing that I'm connecting with my daughter, my family, my wife, my kids. Because in that moment, when I write that little sticky note, and my son still to this day has it plastered up on his wall, that's impactful. That's impactful for me because I took the time to write it down, but it's more impactful because he took it upon himself to put it up and have it as a core value or something that makes him proud, right?
Exactly. So, 100% what you were just talking about is our current moment of awareness and that striving for that positive feeling now can actually impact future current moments of awareness because we have second order consequences. And this is all stuff we're going to talk about later on in the future, just different times of awareness. We're going to have more of these podcast episodes. But when we're looking for those moments, the ones that we're in seek of are the ones that we feel the most guarantee in that fulfillment sake. Those guarantees are us more confidently moving towards something that we feel is going to give us that positive emotion. When we operate from an obligation, things that we know we have to do, we're going to do them because we feel that the result is going to be good, even if we're not sure what the feeling is going to be about. And so this is where hesitancy and reluctancy and any kind of lack of confidence, really, when you go into a situation is, I've never done this before, I don't know what I'm going to do, or maybe I wasn't that good at it last time, so I don't think I'm going to be good next time, or whatever it is. It's that removal of guarantee of that positive emotional outcome. And so our body creates this defensive mechanism that tries to hide us from these instances where we feel we're going to maybe fail or not achieve that positive emotional result. And so this is what really matters, guys, is you understanding in the moment of awareness, the only thing that you get to choose is whether or not you take a step, not the result of the stepping. Okay? And so if you remove the result from how you feel in the moment of action, and the only thing that you ever focus on is deciding which actions you feel you should take to take you towards that search of positive emotion, whether or not that positive emotion is going to come out or not is not within your control. So you understand now that you get to control the action choice of taking a step in the direction you feel you want to go, and you let go of the outcome. You only control the action that you take, not the result that comes from it. And so you get to choose over and over and over infinitely throughout your day. So for example, we talked about this last week. When you get into the moment of awareness, when we start talking about nutrition, for example, and what you're going to eat, if there is a donut that is there on the table and you normally eat donuts when there's donuts on the table, you're more likely to step in and pick up that donut because you know it's going to make you feel good in the moment because it tastes good, right? Evil donuts. But if you are changing what you want as a different outcome, it may be a little bit uncomfortable in the moment to fight against that natural tendency that says, hey, I normally eat donuts. But now I'm saying no in the moment, because this is the step that I know I want to take in order to get a different result later on, right? And you control the act of picking up the donut or not. But here's the thing. You don't just make a choice and then eat the whole donut in one bite. You take a bite, and then you taste the thing, and then your olfactory senses kick in, and you can smell it, and it just, you have a lot of micro moments of awareness throughout the first bite. And then you decide, am I going to take a second bite? And you repeat the process, and then you decide through that whole thing, and you're aware through the whole thing. So eating a donut may actually take a couple of minutes, but time is unlimited. It is unlimited. So I'm going to break this down math for you so you understand the number of moments of awareness are not finite. So if you take the number 1 and you cut it in half, there's a half. There's 2 halves essentially, but we're going to leave one out, right? So we got a half. If you cut that in half again, there's a quarter. You cut that in half again, there's an eighth. You cut that in half again, there's a 16th. You can infinitely half something. Okay, so if we have time as a whole, you can cut that into infinite parts. And those infinite parts are moments of awareness. So you operate from unlimited moments of awareness where it is up to you to control the choice that you make when you are consciously aware of what it is that you intend to do based on what you perceive the result going to be. Don't put the weight on what the result actually ends up being, because that's out of your control, right? Maybe you got a really fast metabolism and you can eat a donut and it doesn't actually have any impact on your weight. But I don't have a super fast metabolism, and I know this because I've eaten a before and it actually made me gain weight. Okay? So we all come from this different place of understanding how it impacts us and what we believe is going to have happen because of how we've done things in the past. And if we want to change the way our world is, the moment of awareness that we're in right now is the ultimate power play. This is where we come in, we control our decision, we decide what step we want to take based on how we think that's going to make us happen, and we take a step. Once we take that step, we reevaluate. What was all the things that happened because I took this step? And we make a new choice, and we take a step. And then we reevaluate, make a new choice, take a step. It's unlimited throughout your day. So when you start to get these pieces into play, where you can put yourself back into this moment of awareness of control of those choices, you actually start to control more and more and more of your life. And then you get better at the structure of it, where then you have less of these, random occurrences that happens.
And I experienced this with going through Wake Up Warrior. And one of the things that Sam Farside would continue to preach and talk about in the Wake Up Warrior Brotherhood was, I am aware that I am aware. Let me say that again. I am aware that I am aware. And what they meant by that and the concept behind that is, once you're exposed to the actual, okay, I just took a bite of this donut. Now, granted, guys out there, we love donuts. We just don't eat them every day. And definitely when we do eat them, it is like we earned it, right? Where it's one of our cheat days, right? But we don't hate donuts, by the way. But with that said, I am aware that I'm aware. It really gave me perspective in that same situation that was about to occur again. I am now aware that I'm aware that I am taking this bite of this donut. And so the mental aspect of, like what you just said, being able to rinse and repeat, is a big aspect. Like, I thought I had to consciously think about that, when in all reality, I just needed to train my subconscious how to process that information better. And through that process, I am aware that I am aware. It gave me that filter that says, I question everything. Like, every step that I take, I question it. Well, how is this affecting the people around me, and how is it affecting me? Like, that's my mindset now. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to start this business, but how is it going to affect me, and how is it going to affect my family? So I'm aware in that moment, not thinking about the failures that I had in the past running a business, because I can promise you this, I've been stuck there mentally, and it's prevented me from taking that step. So having that conscious awareness of, I am aware that I am aware, really forces me to make that first step and not worry about all the other steps that I could possibly take.
Yeah, and I mean, I encounter the same kind of situation whenever I go to, like, the supermarket now, because I'm going through the Equibala Power program, and I'm going in there, and I have a conscious idea and choice to make. Every time I walk past a different food, I have to make that choice. Do I want that food or not? And everybody does this when you go to the grocery store. But you'll notice that there are people that get to the end and they get to the grocery checkout and you're going to look at their basket. I'm not saying that you should judge people by what's in their basket. Not at all. Everybody has their own life. But when you look at the basket and then you look at what you purchased, does it make you feel good? Which is comebacks, right? Like, did you make the right decisions, right? Now, I used to go in there and I would grab soda for my wife, which I would end up drinking when it wasn't lost its gas, because it's there and I don't want to waste it. And then like donuts or sugary things or like pre-made foods and things like that. And they're simple and they're convenient, but they're not necessarily always the best choice for you. So as you're going through the market, you're going to feel that. You're going to go, do I want that? Do I need this? Do I want that? And you have to make that conscious choice. And you can make that 1,000 times, 2,000 times, 3,000 times while you're walking through the market. And you don't even realize it. But every item that you look at, subconsciously, you're making a choice. Do I want that? Yes or no? And you don't think about a lot of it. And this is where Sean's saying, like, you don't have time. The time doesn't exist because you're making millions of yes and no choices in your brain as you're just walking through a market, right? And then you have, as Carrie was saying, I'm aware that I am aware. And when you go into the situation and you're like, I'm aware that I have to pick the right foods, I have to make the right choices here, and you start blocking out those other choices and you live in that moment and you pick the things that are going to make you better in the long run, then
it's definitely helped me be a better leader at work because I'm more conscious of, number one, how it affects me and how it affects other people. And then living in the moment and being aware and not wondering what could happen or where could it go, but focusing on what's in my control right now. How does it affect the people around me? How does it affect myself? Take a step, reevaluate, return a report, right? So take it back over, Sean.
No, you guys hit this perfectly on the head. And again, hopefully, the concept of this topic is understood by this point. And the implementation is something that takes work. It takes time, right? It takes repetition of that conscious awareness to retrain your subconscious. And that's the trick, guys, is now that you have the knowledge is worthless without the action that goes along with it. And this is why in my Equibala system, the mindset piece of it is way more powerful than the meals or movement. You can look up online how to work out. You can look up online which foods are healthy for you. But until you understand the control that comes with making the choices about how to move and what to eat, that is the difference that my program brings versus some of the other ones that just show you how to do the thing. All right. And so this applies to every piece of your world. It's not just about fitness. It could be business. It could be family. It could be gardening. It doesn't really matter. When you become aware that you're aware and you live in that moment, that current moment of awareness, you disconnect from that emotional stress of maybe some choices that didn't play out the way you thought they would. And again, for me, disappointment is when our expectation does not meet the outcome. The outcome is never wrong, so the only part that you control is your expectation. And so we're just going to retrain our expectation by taking more action. The more action you take in the same kind of thing and the more repetitive outcomes that come out, the better of a belief structure you develop about what your actions will result in. That won't always be correct in meeting what that expectation is, but you can create a better belief that, man, I think that if I eat healthy foods because I've seen other people eat healthy foods, I've read information about people eating healthy foods, blah, 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 that it is going to actually help me become healthier. And then when you start eating healthier foods yourself, and you do that consistently over and over, and you start to see the weight drop off, and you start to feel the increased energy, and you start to sleep better, and you start to do all the things that enforce that belief. The next time it becomes easier and easier and easier to feel that guarantee that I am going into this with a positive emotional outcome coming from this. Because guys, you either feel good during the action or you feel good about the action. And most of the time we take action because it feels good in the moment. But later on, we're not going to remember very well. If I asked you what you ate yesterday, you probably couldn't write it down and tell me, at least not in a detail. But if I told you, do you think you did a healthy schedule of eating from yesterday and that's going to make you feel better today? Maybe. But if I make you aware in today and during each one of your meals, you are in the moment and saying, this meal I believe is going to be healthy for me, and I'm going to feel good because I ate a healthy meal, and I'm aware of what I'm eating. And then the next meal, I'm aware of what I'm eating because I think that this is going to make me feel better in the future. We develop this structure around chasing positive emotion in the future, and it actually creates an environment that we live in where we are happier. Because when you're healthy, you can do everything else better. You can think better, you can move better, you can sleep better, you interact better. Everything is improved because of those momentary awareness points that create a better choice that impacts the future feeling structure. And so like Carrie said, when you make one choice, it's not just that choice that is impacted. It's the people around you, it's the physical function, it's the financial aspects, it is all of the things that are around your world that are also impacted by those choices. And I noticed this mostly myself when I gave up the struggle to try and get my family on the healthy track with me. I was like, hey, let's all do this together, and it wasn't their idea, so they weren't really on board with it. But after they saw me do it enough times, they started convincing themselves. Whoa, this is something that actually looks like it's working because I can see him losing weight. And so after I did it enough times, then my son got on board. He's like, Dad, I want to do this with you. Okay, cool. He started doing it. And then my wife was like, okay, I want to get on board and doing this. And then finally my daughter was like, well, you guys are all doing it. I might as well get on the game, right? And so realize that the actions that you take not only will impact you, but they impact all of the people around you. And everything that is involved, not only in your current moments of awareness, but the ones that you share with other people. So guys, your control is only in your actions, but the impact is unforeseen. You have no idea what will happen for the people around you. Sometimes the impact you never see, but you have to be aware that it is something that is part of your choice-making structure. So it improves and increases the weight about what of each of those choices really matters in the world. It doesn't just matter for you, it matters for everybody. So that's really all I got for the time does not exist today. If you guys have questions, please hit us in the comments with those, whether this is watched live or you guys are on the replay version of this. This is something that a lot of times you hear something and you process it and then you're like, oh, wait, what about this? Carrie's really good about doing this. So I appreciate these extra questions that come out. This is what I really enjoy doing, guys, is shifting the perspective. How do you look at things? What is it, the angle that I think I understand things? And that influences how you make choices, and the actions that come out are just a result of that.
No, I appreciate it, Sean, for jumping in here and really just providing golden nuggets, in my opinion. If you didn't hear all of this and you are just now jumping in, go back. You can also catch the replay from last week. Each week that Sean comes in, he's going to be building on the knowledge that he's sharing with you guys. And like I said, he said it the best. He's creating a different perspective and filter that you might be able to live and look through your life through, right? Time does not exist. Say that a couple of times. Don't just say it to yourself. Think deeply about it. Think about what he's talking about when he says time does not exist. And for me, it was that matching up of hitting that play button and staying on play and not hitting the rewind and not hitting the fast forward, because those are the decisions that, number one, I can't go back and change. And number two, I can't go into the future unless I get like Doc from Back to the Future and build out this invention that's going to, now that would be cool because that's my favorite movie. But, you just got to be in that play mode, right? And another thing that I picked up on what Sean was saying right there towards the end, I want y'all to understand something because I've experienced it too. I am a leader, not a savior. This is something I've also learned from going through Wake Up Warrior and my experience with them, because in that moment when Sean was walking and walking and walking, he probably did it for months, if not years, before it was ever noticed by his family, before they ever made that choice and decision to do it themselves. See, when I first started my journey of walking and drinking water and getting that healthier lifestyle, I asked my son to join me. Then he fell off. And it was because I was going and waking him up in the morning. I was the one, pushing him to do it, when in all reality, if you don't make that choice and conscious awareness yourself, then people that you think are in your best interest might be leading you down a path you don't want to go. So it's just, I've got to become aware that I am aware and know exactly what I want. Me, the individual, me, the soul, me, the person. What is it that I am here for? How can I contribute to this? Right? So I appreciate Sean for coming in here. Another awesome episode. He's going to be coming back next week, same time, same place, providing those golden nuggets. So make sure that you get plugged in with us. Make sure that you go back and hit this on replay. Make sure you take your notes. Ask questions in the comments. We will go back and we will answer those. So we're here to help. We're here to give you guys a different perspective. Guys, I appreciate your attention. Keep giving that 110, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one, guys.